We're at the Connecticut Street Rod Association Model Car Show, and I'm here with Chris Chabre, someone that I actually met on social media. We didn't recognize each other, but we knew each other by what was on the table. You've got two Ford pickups that I've been watching you get started on. What got you going in the first place, and what's the difference between the two?
So the white one here in the front is a Revell Foose F100, which is a chip Foose modern era build, and that's not really my thing. I'm part of a Facebook group, and there was a contest, take something, basically a Tri-5 Ford. I didn't get very far on it because life got in the way. But I sectioned it 6 inches, and I used the canted dual quad front custom piece from the AMT 57 Chevy, basically to turn it into a early 60s era radical show truck. But like I said, I didn't get very far on it. So once that one was done, I wanted to build the 53 Ford as the tow vehicle for the show truck, because every shop back in the day had a cool truck to tow their stuff around, and that kind of got out of control. So I sectioned it mildly. It's only like 3.5, 4 inches. It has the AMT 57 Chevy front roll pan turned upside down. So now it became the upper half of the grill assembly. And then a parts box roll pan in the lower, and I tucked the front fenders, channeled it, sectioned the bed, and now next will be to use this. This is a monogram little coffin rear roll pan. So that'll end up molded into the back of the bed.
Just below the bed.
Well, just below the tailgate. And then, like the early Dream Truck and the Copper Cart, I'll wrap it around and mold it into the fenders. Quite honestly, knowing my track record, it'll go in the case and primer and sit there for a couple of years.
It can sit, mellow out, and you'll come up with some more ideas.
Let the primer shrink a little bit before it gets some paint.
Good and dry. So you section both of these just below the cowl.
Yep.
So in essence, you're bringing the cowl down so it's closer to the height of the fenders.
Correct.
But you still have that little roll to it.
Yep.
A lot of good character. At the same time, you're also, I know you were telling me that you were considering the height of the rear fenders.
Right.
And how that starts to fall into the relationship and the height of the bedside.
Right. I say I sectioned the cab like 3.5, 4 inches. The grand scheme of things, for myself, it's all about proportion. I literally cut the floor of the bed out, slid the fenders up until they touched the bend in the bed, and made the floor fit. It comes down, there's a number somewhere in there. I was a machinist for years. If you get caught up on the numbers, something's not gonna look right. So I prefer, as long as the right side and the left side are the same dimension when I'm done, and the proportions look good, then it's good.
Yeah, I can see you're working on that balance, getting them all through, and then how all the lines flow. The wheelbase stays the same.
It is.
And the tops aren't chopped.
Nope, neither one are chopped. When the 56 gets done, it won't sit flat on the ground. It'll be like a, correct street-driven truck.
For the early 60s.
Right.
Not like it's bagged and drops.
No, it'll have
has a good ride height.
A beam axle underneath it. And
good stiff ride.
Yeah, if it's not riding on the bump stops, what good is it, right?
On the 53, you brought the fenders in. A lot of customizers did that. Do you know how that all started, that trend? I mean, it's just like a natural thing to do now, and it looks right to me by eye.
Right. Well, like, for example, this, it didn't fall apart. It did fall apart. So, if you notice here, the front fender is actually cut for the wheel well. So, that's a traditional shoebox front fender. So when you tuck them, it dramatically lightens the front end of the vehicle. Where it began, I'm assuming because people wanted canted quad headlights. And
back in the day,
yep.
Chryslers, Lincolns, the sign of a really expensive car.
Yes.
Well styled.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's the first time I ever really saw it.
Yeah.
Back, that era. So, and it turned into customizers did it, and then the manufacturers, you just had to keep making something more custom because the manufacturers were taking it.
They were influenced.
Yep.
Chris is into a real interesting mix of early survivor builds. He collects them and he builds them.
I regrettably sold my whole collection in 2005.
Yeah.
So I kind of started over, and I decided, I started small. I would buy like this 5-window Wasn't a lot of money. But as I started collecting, I started, well, okay, I can sell a couple of these and buy one nicer one. And that's how I ended up with that 32 5-window.
It's just like the real car world.
Yes, exactly. That's how I've always paid
Just
for my
keep
hobby.
moving them around.
Yep, now I've jumped off the deep end.
You're working on this Corvette, and I'm working actually on the same body at the moment. What I'm doing is a Steve Stanford design, the front marker light pods. In his illustration, he cut them off just as you did.
Yep.
I made the decision to keep them, but now I'm standing here talking to you, and I'm thinking of going back to my bench and whacking them off.
When I was building hot rods professionally, we always looked at it as you want to make it look fast sitting still. So you take everything off that's going to be a bump in the air. You know, when we were land speed racing, you want to keep the sides of the car as smooth as possible, disrupt the air as least amount as possible. I ended up adapting that mentality when it comes to custom cars. I understand why that's there, but it doesn't need to be there.
Especially on a custom car.
Right.
It's not required.
And I also like to take the minimalist approach. Like, I don't like to hang something on a car just to have it. Like, you know, we shave door handles all the time on model cars, real cars, everything. My daily driver is not going to have door handles on it when I finish it.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, why do I need that blinker? The headlights are already in the original grille location. They could be hidden somewhere over there. Of course, it's easier in a model because now I don't have to worry about them at all. So.
That's right. Right, and you don't have to put chrome foil on it
Right.
or worry about anything else. It's
Right, and those,
gone.
from our past discussions, I'm sure you realize that I don't like painting model cars. I think bare metal foil is worse than painting for me, so.
I think you're heavily influencing what I should do with those front marker lights on that Corvette.
Now we just need you to put 2 motors in it.
Which, yeah, that's the interesting, cool thing. I see a bunch of these dual motor cars. Where did that motor come from that's in this guy?
So that is out of this Survivor. So it's a late 30s Chevy with Ford fenders, and I took it apart to wash it, and I had it sitting on my bench while I was working on the Corvette. You know, this was blown apart as typical, you know, sitting in a million pieces. And I picked up the Corvette body after I had chopped it and set it down, not looking where it was going, and it ended up sitting over the engines, basically. And it kind of decided for itself that that's how it was going to be built.
Can't wait to see that done with paint.
Yeah, me too.
Cool.
So it is going to be that I use embossing powder for rugs. So that this is called purple tinsel. And then it's, I believe this is Tester's Purplicious.
Yeah.
So I figured you can't really get any more obnoxious than a twin blown, you know, Corvette with the roof cut off of it. And it'll have, I like doing 2-tone interiors. So it'll be purple rug with pearl white tuck and roll. So.
Everything glistens.
Yep.
Yeah. Wow, early 60s.
Well, you
Good
shave
luck.
all the chrome off of it, you gotta make it
You
shine
gotta make it
somehow.
somewhere. Yeah, cool. Well, hey, I want to thank you. It was good to
problem.
finally meet you
I know,
after so
right?
long on social media.
Yep.
Yeah.